Hello, I'm Frank, and here is my audience. This is my informative speech on hybrid cars. I'm going to talk to you today about the hybrid car phenomenon and what it means for consumers and the environment. So what are hybrid cars? According to dictionary.com, a hybrid car is any car that uses electricity to enhance the performance of the engine. The very first hybrid car was invented in 1769. It was a steam-powered carriage that went 6 miles an hour. Now, throughout history, there have been many attempts to create another hybrid car, but it never caught on. Then, in 1979, GM attempted to become the first of the major car manufacturers to develop a hybrid car. They developed one that ran on electricity and one that ran on solar power. Neither of these took off. They scrapped the idea, and no car manufacturer picked it up until 20 years later. In the late 90s and the early 2000s, Toyota and Honda began developing hybrid technology that became more of what we are using today. So why did it take 20 years for hybrid technology to really catch on? Towards the late 90s and the early 2000s, the shift became from more of fuel efficiency to a dependency on foreign oil and also the environment. In 1990, greenhouse emissions began steadily climbing. And in 2011, 84% of greenhouse gas emissions were carbon dioxide. 36% of those were caused by transportation. The first hybrid cars that came out were all electric, so consumers balked at them because they had low range. Initially 30 to 40 miles per charge, now up to about 100 miles per charge. Now these would be effective for people that are commuting in city, but long-range commuters did not see the benefit of having an electric car. So the manufacturers began to move more towards flex fuel, which is using electricity and gasoline together to power the car. This is more of what the hybrid technology is that we see today. So, are we really better off with hybrid cars? Since 2000, there has been a decrease in the amount of green gas emissions in the atmosphere, but it's only been 4 to 7%. And unless the car is 100% electric, it's never going to be an efficient way to reduce the amount of CO2 emissions into the atmosphere. So we've talked about the atmosphere. Now, how about consumers? Most consumers feel that buying a hybrid car will save them money on gas. You get more range out of the engine per gallon than you get on a traditional car. But in all actuality, the difference is so minimal that to offset the increased price of a hybrid car, according to Edmunds.com, it would take an average of 17 years for you to make your money up. So is it really more effective for a consumer to drive a hybrid car than a standard car? There's also the environment itself. Since there hasn't been a really large decrease in the amount of CO2 emissions, there is no concrete proof that hybrid cars are actually better for the environment. And then there's also the nickel metal batteries inside of the car. Once the batteries expire, they have to be disposed of. Where do we dispose of the batteries? So it's easy to see that from the surface, it looks good driving a hybrid car. You're doing something great for the environment. You're saving money on gas. But in the long run, the benefits are minimal, and the future problems of finding battery disposal is something that will have to be addressed. So I've given you some information now on hybrid cars, the history of them, where they are, where they're going. The key point to take out of this is let's not do something now that in the future may be far more harmful to Mother Earth. Thank you.